Hey guys, Marzinger here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk about the Red Dragonstone 7 and which characters you should think about buying with them. We're going to quickly run down the list and go through the characters. This is a huge list. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we want to see for the anniversary, where you get given the option to pick up some of these units, where there is a massive selection of characters that you can pick from. Each one is available 3 times, so if there's one in particular that you really wanted that you don't have, you are actually able to get 3 copies of them, because all of these cost 1 stone each. They haven't done the thing that they've done in the past, where some of them will cost 2 or 3, and then also come with like banner unit cards and stuff like that. All of these are just 1 Red Dragonstone for 1 copy. And then, of course, as always, making an appearance at the very bottom of the list, you can get a single Elder Kai for 1 Red Dragonstone instead. Now, there's some really interesting things to note for this list. I think it's still the case where every single character on the list is a unit that has an easy A. So we've got all the way down to like the OG set of summonable LRs, like the type LRs with Gohan, Majin Vegeta, Broly, Zamasu and Rose, and then Trunks. Then we've got some of the next generation of LRs with the Goten and Trunks, Bojack, Goku, Beerus, Bardock, Cell, Goku and Frieza are on there. We've also got Mai and Trunks, Baby, GT Trio. A lot of these older LRs. Now, obviously, when it comes to some of these guys, like, you know, Tech Broly got his Easy A fairly recently with the Worldwide Celebration 2024, and he's still very, very good. In terms of all the characters that we've scrolled past so far, he's kind of like the only one that is still currently viable. And then even as we keep going, realistically, Broly Trio still usable, Rose still kind of usable. And then we get to the Super Easy A. Well, the start of some of the characters from the same meta, I guess, because STR, Broly, Tech Cell, Kid Buu, these guys all came out. Kid Buu was a little bit later, but around the same kind of time. The Broly and Cell part of the original type leads meta with the 3000 attack leader skills. But of course, Tech Cell does not have his Super Easy A yet. Broly does, Kid Buu does, then we got Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, Int, Janemba, and Gogeta being here is very interesting. And then, of course, we have Full Power Frieza. He's got his Super Easy A, so does Gohan. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's a big one that we're looking forward to in terms of Super Easy A's. Beerus is there. And then we move on to the 70% meta leads. Now, the biggest thing about this is I see a lot of people, even on the stream today, right, had people asking, like, who shall I spend my red coins or red stones on? And that's the whole reason for, you know, making this video in the first place. But one of the things that I should say straight off the bat, and, you know, it's one of those things, I'm not going to long the video out and save this right until the very end. So, if you find this advice helpful, do watch the rest of the video, give me my watch time. But the biggest piece of advice I can give is if you take a look at the list, you can see right here, 52 days left to exchange these red dragon stones. So the biggest piece of advice that I would give with these stones, even if there's a character on the list that stands out to you that you don't have, and you think like, Tech Gotenks probably isn't the best example because he's kind of been replaced by the LR, although I know, you know, potentially not a lot of people are going to have him. But if we scroll back up to the top, we've got units like the Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Vegeta that just got an Easy A, right? And they could be a good addition to your team. And you think, well, you know, I really want that Tech Majin Vegeta, I don't have him. But the big bit of advice that I would say is wait until we find out who the Super Easy A's for the anniversary are going to be. Because I made a video a little bit earlier talking about all the slots on that roadmap that they showed for the anniversary and speculating about who some of those characters can be. But they specifically mentioned on the live stream that the slots on that list, on that image, would include Easy A's and Super Easy A's. And because they specifically said and Super Easy A's, it just feels like, why would they say that if the anniversary is not going to have any Super Easy A's in it? And so that's the big thing, right? Now, it's not every single unit in the game, but because everybody on this list has an Easy A, it's not every Easy A unit, I mean, right? But every unit on this list has an Easy A, which means if a unit gets a Super Easy A, it's very likely to be one of these characters, especially the older ones, right? So these original, we don't have a summonable LR with a Super Easy A yet, but as I talked about in that roadmap video, you've got Gohan was the first summonable LR, and he came out in the 2nd anniversary. So what better time to give him a Super Easy A, be the first summonable LR Super Easy A, than during an anniversary. Technically, any of the other ones from that meta would be on the table. I don't expect any of these ones that then came later than them to get one. But then, of course, when we moved into the Super Easy A TURs here, as we already mentioned, Cell doesn't have one. So if, for example, we were to get a new like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan for Part 2, or even if the Int LR gets a Super Easy A, this Tech Cell could get a Super Easy A to go along with that. We've also got units like Janemba and Gogeta. These guys are probably two of the most anticipated Super Easy A's, and they were the headliners for the 1st anniversary. So them getting a Super Easy A as part of the 10th anniversary would obviously be really hype, like 9 years after their release. And then they get a Super Easy A and become really, really good again. Especially if we are going to get a new Super Gogeta, because we know there's 3 slots on that roadmap for movies related stuff. So if we get a new Super Gogeta for Part 2, in some way, shape or form, then obviously these guys would be very good as well. Obviously the new Super Gogeta, I guess, would have to be like fusing in order for him to be able to be run with this guy, I guess. Unless they make the new one an absolute god in slot 1. And then this guy, you know, if he ends up just easy-aing into a really solid like damage dealer that doesn't really need to worry about build-up or anything like that, he can make a great 3rd slot floating unit for that team. And of course, Int Janemba has potential to just be crazy like he was when he originally got his Easy A. So those could be some really strong Super Easy A options. But this is why I say the best advice is to wait, right? Because I don't, you know, I can talk all day about how great Gogeta and Janemba's Super Easy A's could be, but don't buy copies of them now, because if they don't get a Super Easy A during the anniversary, who knows when they will, right? So we got Full Power Frieza and Gohan have got theirs. Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, as we already mentioned, would be cool, but he doesn't really fit on any of the slots in the roadmap because he's like a crossover character. So he's not from any of those arcs or like movies or anything. Then, of course, Super Vegito. We know we're getting a Dokkan Fest Super Vegito, so him getting a Super Easy A would definitely fit into the theme. Gotenks has got his. There's the Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and obviously Vegeta. We're getting the new Blue Vegeta that has a unit super with Goku. We don't know how that works yet, but I was speculating in like the leader skill video. My biggest hope is that rather than it being like having to be a UI Goku, it's like any Goku from Realm of Gods or something is his unit super partner, and then that would be a perfect opportunity for this guy to get a Super Easy A and then be really good and be on that team. And there's another Realm of Gods Goku. Obviously we could still run like the AGL and Tech UI because they're still great units, but having one like getting a buff in the celebration would make sense. Obviously Buhan, that could go along with Super Vegito. We could get both of them Super Easy A. That would be pretty cool. Then we start to get into like, we've got Omega, who's still part of that 70% meta, and then Golden Frieza came out around a similar time. I mean, there are slots on the roadmap for Dragon Ball Super, which technically would include Golden Frieza. I think it's a very random one, though, just to sort of have the tech Golden Frieza Super Easy A. Physical Goku Black has his. Now, they don't really fit the theme, I think, very well, but like, imagine if the two of those slots for Dragon Ball Super were taken up by the Super Easy A for AGL Rose and Physical Vegito Blue. I mean, they could be insane with a Super Easy A, but I think they are not really enough. They don't fit the theme enough, I think, to really be on the table for a Super Easy A. Obviously, Cell, we already mentioned the Tech one. It would be strange for them to Super Easy A this one before the Tech one, but I guess it's not impossible. And then we've got, like, this Vegeta has a different name. Now, he's from Dragon Ball Super, he's from the Future arc, but with a new Blue Vegeta releasing, they could use that as a tie-in to give this guy a Super Easy A, would probably end up being one of his best partners on that new Blue Evolution Vegeta team. Then, of course, we have the 2nd anniversary Super Saiyan 4s. Those guys getting a Super Easy A could be very interesting, because remember, the temporary buffs that a bunch of units got will run out by the time the anniversary starts, so the LR Super Saiyan 4s will essentially, sadly, go back to just being collecting dust in the box. So if these guys got Super Easy A's, that would be really strong. We know we're getting a new Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan 4 Goku. However, again, as I talked about in the roadmap video, there's only one extra slot for GT, which is probably going to be the LR Super Saiyan 4s from the 7-year Easy A. So I wouldn't count on these guys getting a Super Easy A, especially not before Gogeta and Janemba. And then once we start getting up higher up the list, we've got the 120 leads, none of which have Super Easy A's yet. I mean, I don't think we've even touched the 70% lead, so I don't think we would get that far. And then we have some category leaders. And again, like these guys all have Easy A's, but I think they are so far and away from getting a Super Easy A that they're not worth considering. The 3-year anniversary units, again, their temporary buff's going to go away, so they're not going to be worth using anymore, really. Int UI Goku, again, like, he fits the theme for the Vegeta, but these guys are all a bit too recent. And, you know, we haven't got anywhere close to the 170 lead meta when it comes to Super Easy A's. So I wouldn't expect any of these guys to get Super Easy A's for this higher section of the list. And unfortunately, even the 5th year fusions, right, Gogeta and Vegito, they are going to basically go back to being, I don't want to say unrunnable, because in some events it's like you put them in slot 3, hope they get the dodge, then they come back, they transform, they get guaranteed dodge. So in shorter events they could still be useful on some teams, but I don't think they would be great picks. Realistically, it's going to come down to who are the Super Easy A's, and then if a character is getting a Super Easy A and you don't have them, or maybe you only have the 1 copy of them, then it could be worth picking up a copy or 2. But as they mentioned, Easy A's and Super Easy A's as part of that stream, I'm hoping that there's going to be more than 1 Super Easy A. That'd be interesting. We've never had more than 1 in one celebration, but this is the 10th anniversary, so anything could happen. And I definitely think that STR Gogeta and Int Janemba are very, very good candidates for it. It just ties in so nicely with them being the 1st anniversary headliners and then getting a Super Easy A in the 10th anniversary. I think that makes a lot of sense. But as I said when we were talking about them, don't just buy a copy of them each now, because they might not get one. They will get one eventually, but they obviously might not get one during the anniversary. I think it would be great. But that is my biggest piece of advice. There are units on here, like, again, the Super Saiyan 2s that just got their Easy A's. They're probably 2 of the better units from the list to pick up in terms of who is actually still relevant now. Obviously, we talked about Tech LR Broly as well. But as I scroll down the list, it's realistically those 2 guys who are the newest. Tech LR Broly, who's only a recent Easy A. And then honestly, realistically, after that, it's kind of just the characters that already have a Super Easy A. Those are only really the characters from the list, I would say, as of right now, who are worth picking up with the red stones. But of course, the best thing to do is wait until we know who the Super Easy A's are going to be. Even if we're getting a Super Easy A in part 1, you could potentially just pick up 1 copy of that character and wait to see if there's another Super Easy A later on. But the biggest piece of advice I can give is wait until we know who the Super Easy A's are, and then you know who to get with your redstone. If you don't want or need any of them, then characters that already have Super Easy A's, or maybe the like Tech Vegeta, I guess, or Tech Broly are probably the top picks. But other than that, I would say wait. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Who do you think will get a Super Easy A during the celebration? Have you already spent your redstones already? And if so, who did you get? But let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.